This is Tim Cocchia, COO of Excel Delivery, and you're watching the Last2First Podcast.
The ending of your father and your grandfather's first business. The name of the business again was?
Well, my grandfather's business was called California Messenger originally.
Okay.
And then they, at one point, and this is a whole separate long story, but tried to go public to compete with FedEx. They bought some planes. Planes never took off, so there's a whole thing with that. And then that company ended up going out of business. My dad's company was Canyon State Courier.
Canyon State Courier, okay. And so when and how did that business exit?
Well, again, that's another long story, and talking about learning from your mistakes. So the company was still, we thought, like over the last 2 years of the business, profitable on paper. We were having cash flow issues, which is, something interesting with business. I was still young at the time. We had a CPA that was our controller, and come to find out that we did a couple things with cash flow went from billing after the fact to pre-billing customers at the beginning of the month for routed stuff so that we could get cash flowing early, and it helped for maybe a 7-month period. Okay. And slowly over that time, cash started getting tighter and tighter, and really we knew something was wrong. Like the numbers looked fine on paper. That's back then, when you were doing routed work, if you were making 1 to 3% bottom line, that you were doing good. Yeah. And we were at the low end of that, but we were making money, or at least we thought. Yeah. And what ended up happening was we basically our controller went on vacation for a week. We brought an outside CPA firm to audit the books, and we weren't making money. We were losing money. And so it was definitely brutal. Yeah. And so through that period, we ended up using a factoring company for a while. Yeah. That's never good when you get to a factoring company. That's just a slower death. Yeah. And so we ended up breaking up the company and selling off pieces of it, part of it to another company in Teleco Delivery and part of it to Vivex at the time.
A factoring company is a company that basically pays you a percentage of the
when you bill, they give you a percentage of the receivables, so you get it right away, and then they take a pretty sizable cut themselves, and they actually do the collecting of the money.
And their cut's normally around 10%.
I think 10% is pretty regular, if not more.
And if you were expecting to make 1%, your net is already pretty bad out the gate. Yeah.
But it was an experience. I mean, I met with my VP of operations literally the Monday after the CPA firm basically came back to give us the results, and we probably cut $150,000 a month worth of cost like that, right? Because you do tend to operate a little differently when you're making a little bit of money versus losing a little bit of money. So we felt like we were back on the right track and would be able to get out of it, but there were just too many bumps in the roads afterwards. And once you're at that point with a factoring company, one little hiccup and it's almost over. And so we saw the writing on the wall coming. And honestly, my dad was really adamant about protecting the customers too, because at the end, if something had happened and we weren't able to provide service, we were doing stuff for Cardinal Health at the time, a lot of pharmaceutical. And so we just decided it was the right thing to do to kind of get it out and get the work to people that were experienced in it.
Yeah. How challenging of that experience was for you to have to kind of see that business be sold off at the time?
It was rough. I mean, it was definitely probably the worst part of my experience in the industry was going through that. But I'll tell you, I learned a lot through that. I mean, you go through something like that and you realize, there's just so much. Mm-hmm. It was rough, obviously, because it was family business too. And my dad sort of, as that happened, somewhat retired after that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was very difficult.
Want more game-changing insights from the best and last mile delivery? Stay locked in with Last2First. Follow us on social media for exclusive clips, behind-the-scene content, and expert tips. Subscribe to our podcast so you never miss a beat. Join the conversation. Send us some comments, drop in your questions, and become a part of the Last2First movement. Want to be a guest or know someone that should be? Hit us up and let's get them on the show. If you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, reach out to us. We'd love to work with you. Find us on social media with @Last2First Podcast. Send email to info@last2firstpodcast.com or go check out our website and let us know how we can support, help, and bring you better content going forward. Now back to Last2First.
Bye.